Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of An Author's Kiss right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I am your host, Sarah Joy, and my wonderful repeat guest is Megan Mary. We're going to be talking about dream hunters. What are your dreams telling you? This is her new book, and it's a metaphysical and mystic of magic. Very exciting. So, The Witches of Maple Hollow. I'm looking forward to hearing all about that. But we did a show a while ago, and I do invite you to go back and listen to that because we really talked about the dream analysis and the Women's Dream Enlightenment podcast and, the mystic writer, all of that really does open up our other worlds and not let us just stay stuck in one world all the time. We don't want to be there. So what is it all about? She's passionate about helping other women connect with their inner guidance and wisdom on their own dreams in a safe, compassionate space. And she believes that the symbolic imagery in our dreams is a key. Once unlocked, we can tap into our own innate transformative power, evolve our consciousness, and ultimately discover our life purpose. She is a dream interpreter, metaphysical author who specializes in women's dreams. She's also an intuitive and an introverted mystique. I like that. We have talked about her wonderful dream work before, but what is this with the book, The Dream Hunters? What is that all about? Okay, Mary, what are the Dream Hunters all about? Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back again, Sarah. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here. Dreams, people don't realize are happening all the time, whether they remember them or not. People say, I don't dream. Well, you are dreaming, and your dreams are always significant of something. But the book, The Dream Hunters, are they hunting dreams? What's going on here?
They're haunting dreams, yes, because
Haunting.
it's the dream haunters,
So
yes,
sorry, my
yes,
dyslexia
yes,
reading it the wrong
no
way. Yes.
problem, yes, yes, and yes, it's actually quite an interesting novel that really intertwines Halloween with my passion for dreams. So it
Mm,
was so appropriate that our last chat came out on 10/30, the day before Halloween,
mm.
because that is really where this story happens.
Ooh,
Yes.
uh-huh. Many people are scared of their dreams because they do think it's a haunting. If they have a bad dream or a dream that wakes them up in the night, oh, I'm being possessed. And that isn't always the case, but sometimes it is a little nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yes. In this case, it takes that and turns it on its head with fictional shapeshifters
Ooh.
that really are taking advantage of people that are not paying attention to their dreams.
Mm,
So the message is that those that are quote unquote dream deniers are
mhm,
the ones that are at risk. And it really puts forth the message that we all should listen to them,
mhm.
that we can gain our own inner wisdom and power by listening to them. And it tells that through the fictional story of the main character, Hannah Sky.
Mm. Um, yes, I've most certainly had what I call the nudge, nudge, wink, wink, or the cosmic two by four by not paying attention, to those messages. And very often those messages come to you in your dreams because that's when you're out of your chatter, right? That's when they can kind of download stuff. And if we don't pay attention, very often it could be a warning, a redirection, and if we don't pay attention, we're going to pay some form of price, aren't we?
Yes. Yes. And I mean, it's all there for us to tap into. We just need to learn how to decode it,
Mm.
how to pay attention, how to listen to those whispers of the dream stories.
And my brother, who's an author, spent a year in his twilight zone. You know that when you're beginning to wake up but you're not fully awake? With a pen and pad by his bed and wrote down exactly, because you're still in that dream state before you fully awaken, and would write down exactly what that dream would be. Then kind of wrote a thriller novel on kind of people trapped in a dream state and in another alternative world. But um, he said it was a discipline that he actually had to have in order to capture those dreams, because the moment we wake up, very often we lose them. Um, but also quite fascinating of kind of what the dreams had to say. And is there a technique and a way of listening to our dreams, and a way of paying attention to what that message is before we lose it when we're fully awake?
Yes, and I refer to that space as the middle world.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to hang out in the middle world as much as possible
Mm,
to get what I call the middle messages. And I try to write them down as much as possible to look at later because I've recognized that can't fully comprehend them in the state that I receive them.
mm-hmm.
And a lot of inventors and famous people over time have actually tried to attain a extended state in that place so that they could attain inspiration for their inventions.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is, I find, such an interesting place because it is in between those brainwave states where we're moving from one to the other brainwave, but we're not really holding the space of either. And it allows us to receive information so much more than when we're in our waking life in that beta state and we have so many distractions and we have all our judgments on top of
Mm-hmm.
those. And
So it's a form of channeling.
I think so, yes,
Mm-hmm.
essentially.
And sometimes we may not remember what the dream is, but there's something instinctual, something that happens, or I call that the knowingness. So when you know what you need to know, when you need to know it, and you don't know why you just know. And I think that is that channeling that's in your subconscious, and that it will come out when it needs to know. And if we can take the head out of the equation and stop, but why do I need to know? And start, dissecting it and just trust the message. That is that form of channeling that into an existence.
Yes, and in the book, there are 13 dreams. And it starts out with her recurring dream,
Hmm.
really, of a pumpkin patch. And she doesn't know what it means, and she doesn't know what it's trying to tell her. And she really starts to feel the call to find out what it means. And so she follows sort of her intuition, doing something that might not be logical to
Hmm.
even herself to discover what that meaning is. And she's led to this magical island of eternal autumn called Maple Hollow, where she actually finds someone who can help her understand her dreams and really then discovers a whole bunch about herself and her family legacy that she didn't know.
Ah, the reveal, right? Quite exciting. And why do we dismiss our dreams so much? Because here you have a metaphorical person taking this journey, but then so many other people who have decided to pay attention to their dreams and kind of, what does this really mean? What is it really trying to tell me? Most of the time, people either are too scared, or what, how? Where do I go? Where is this mythical journey? I want to find it. So I can actually understand what's being told to me, but we're not taught this in any shape or form, are we?
Exactly. There is no what Montague Ullman calls dream appreciation.
Hmm.
In our society, we don't have dream appreciation. We might not even talk about it at the family breakfast table. It's
Mm,
something that we experience in a very solitary way, and we're almost taught to be embarrassed about it
yeah.
and to dismiss it. So at best, we're embarrassed and dismissive. And there's not really a place to share them. And there's not really a taught way to understand them.
Mm,
So that leads to people discarding them.
yeah.
And when you discard them, then you start not remembering them. And eventually they get so quiet that you say, well, I don't dream. Or maybe
Mm.
I had one a couple of months ago, but I don't know. I just don't. I don't remember them. because you've decided that they're not important and you've turned off that aspect of your mind that's paying attention.
I love what I call the twilight zone. I'm always in many dreams are going on in my head through the night, and it's always like a movie. It's always something I'm in and experiencing. And, when you wake up, you may forget the actual process of what you were doing, but the feeling that it's left you with. And sometimes okay, I don't know where this feeling came from. Obviously, something going on in my little twilight zone there. But then trust the feeling, whether it's negative or positive, because if it's negative, it's a warning of something. If it's positive, tap into that positivity.
Yes, absolutely trust the emotions. And that's why part of the method that I use for dream analysis involves emphasizing the mood.
Hmm.
Because when we dream, parts of our brain are turned off, but parts of our brain are very active, like the limbic region, and that the emotional part of our brain is awake as if we were awake. So that's
Mm.
why we experience dreams as if they really happened. And they can cause what I call the dream hangover, where you wake up and you feel how you would have felt if that had really happened in real life. And you
Yeah.
can't seem to convince yourself it didn't because your body and your mind processed it as if it did. And so the emotions are really key. They're really important to the first step, really, in understanding the message that's trying to be sent.
Now, would you call that kind of going into that dream state almost dimensional traveling? You're having that experience in a different dimension.
Absolutely. And that I talk about that so much in the book that it's really, there's a lot of thematic symbolism with portals in the series overall, but also in the first book. And a lot of talk about interdimensional portals and the dream world being that interdimensional space where outside of time and space, outside of those constructs of the 3D world, and it allows us to get a much broader view of that universality of that wisdom that's available to us.
I personally find it a safe space. I've had the body snatching and the terrible experiences when I was not protecting myself as a youngster. So I went through all of that. But, I was a very sickly child and left alone a lot. So, I had white walls, it was like a punishment. You had to go somewhere, and I did. And there are so many experiences that I realize I've never experienced in this lifetime or in this realm, but I've experienced other, and I can tell you the taste, the touch, the feel, the everything, like I was there. And I think people don't actually understand that just because your body doesn't go there doesn't mean your spirit or your psyche doesn't go there, right? It's all about stepping outside of the flesh and allowing the spirit to take flight.
Yes, absolutely. It's a space where we can be our spirit selves and we can interact with other spirits.
Mm.
And as much as that might be in the book and it's a fictional book, it's also part of reality. And it's blending those two things. It's blurring that line so that people understand that there's so much commonality in the underpinnings of the thematic symbolism of the book that are about that are actually real, you know. Maybe the people are fictitious, but the whole experience and what she realizes about herself is very close to real. So that's why they call it magic realism.
But there again, what is real and what isn't? Again, we're
Hmm.
limited to this. Well, if I can't touch it or taste it, then I, it isn't real. But we've got to understand feeling is way beyond touch and taste, right? And it's if we allow ourselves to go there and really truly experience these other feelings, they are so tangible, they are so real that sometimes it is hard to kind of tell what is real and what isn't. But we limit ourselves so much as human beings of, again, what will people think if I start talking like this, or if I start sharing this, or I, have this kind of experience, are the white coats going to come? Because people have limited themselves so much in in allowing their spirit to take us elsewhere beyond the body.
Yeah, you're 100% right. There's a lot of concern and a lot of cultural criticism around dreams, around talking about these types of things because they're not tangible
Mm,
and the experiences are so unique and so hard to put to words too,
yes,
but
yes.
they're also so fantastical, right? Dreams don't make sense necessarily. They're not linear. They don't have a linear story. They you may try to explain it to someone and you'll find you don't even have the words
No.
to explain it. And then when you do try to find the words, it's almost limiting it a bit when you try to do that transference. But just sitting with it inside your head is almost the purest form of reflection, I think.
Mm. I know that there was a stage where I was coming out of my darkness that I'd been in for a long time, and I took the metaphysical journey, the mystical journey to find my reality, to find my existence. I couldn't do it, kind of earth manual. I had to go into the metaphysical because it made sense to me. It's where I connected and it brought me back to life. In writing this book, where you're writing about experiences, but in a fictional way, is allowing people to take that journey, have that experience safely without any kind of judgment, but, feel that connection of, oh, I know what she's feeling, or I feel that, or I question that. And it just kind of becomes its own form of manual in many ways, doesn't it?
It really does. And that's part of the whole reason, I'm going to write a nonfiction book about dreams, but this one came out first, and I'm okay with that because I feel like that is this one of the safe ways
Mm.
that people are exposed to concepts and experiences. They experience it through the character and they resonate with it and they get swept away with it and they really get inspired by it much more than if you're trying to write a how-to book, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't relate to those because half the time I don't feel they're addressing me, right? You're addressing what I call a humanoid, and I don't feel my soul or my spirit is being in the equation at all. And I feel that's where everything is wrong with humanity is that we're not connected to our spirit, our heart, and soul. And that if we were, we would understand our position as a human. We're a beautiful spirit having a human existence for a reason. And there's wonderful, beautiful things to have that cohesiveness between the both. But again, it's that keeping, the humanoid limited, fearful, judgmental, and not opening up to our soul's calling. And if we listen to our soul and our spirit, it's actually our compass. It is actually showing us where to go, who to be, how to be, what to do. And it is such truth. It's got us in such ways that we feel completely at one with it.
I like that you mentioned the compass because that's actually in one of her dreams where she actually is on the shore and there is a giant lighthouse and it's raining and she reaches into her pocket and she pulls out a compass and it has a key on it. And of course, keys are a huge theme in the book. And that's why it's on the cover.
And with your lovely
The
earrings today as
Yeah,
well.
the key. And really, the tagline is discover the key, open the portal, save our
Mm,
legacy. So it really is the message that you are the key, ultimately.
yeah.
Yes.
We're constantly looking outside, aren't we? And, when we make a connection with something like this book, when we go on this journey, as I said, when I went on my metaphysical journey, reading all of these type of books, I just found me along the way. It ignited me where I'd lost me for so long. I felt my soul and my heart were disconnected. And it reignited it. That's why I have that one genre that we were under the show last time of ignite your heart and soul, because we need that ignition of our heart and soul to actually understand our presence here and how to listen to that knowingness and channel those messages. And if we don't live in that, then we're constantly living in confusion.
Yes, we have to come into alignment,
Mm,
definitely. And that's part of where dream work comes in,
mm,
because the subconscious is where the intuition lies. And the subconscious is 95% of our brain, and the conscious is only 5.
yeah.
So we have to bring those together. We have to make them work together because they're stronger together
Yes.
and they can feed off each other. And we can realize so much about ourselves if we're willing to do that and take that look, take that step into the shadows, really.
Mm. Well, I always ask authors this, what did you learn? What did you discover in writing this book? Because I know there's always an intent, I'm going to do this, but then in the actual writing and how the characters come alive and where they go, sometimes kind of takes over completely and leads you down a different path. Where did it lead you?
Yes, well, when I started writing it 10 years ago, it was a short story
Hmm.
about a time traveling cat. And that's where it was left, 10,000 words. And it wasn't until I had this really the spiritual awakening experience that I talked about on your previous show that I picked up writing it again. And when I did, it took a completely new direction. It was the same characters, but the storyline and the layer of dreams, and then all the other layers that start to come in were really ones that I had not anticipated at all in the beginning. And the undercurrent of Mercury retrograde throughout the series was also something that I just loved investigating. There's a lot of things that are, as much as it is fiction and not necessarily historical fiction, there's lots of things that are actual real
Hmm.
life accuracies. So the exact dates, the moon phases, every time it's Mercury retrograde, all of that is based on real life celestial occurrences.
Mercury retrograde. Oh, nobody likes it. I mean, it has an energy of its own, and especially with anything electronic, because it has a force of its own. And like, whenever Mercury retrograde comes up, people brace themselves because it's turmoil, isn't it? It's chaos.
Yes, and that's when the book occurs. So it
Mm,
takes place, and it's actually what I found so fascinating was that it's one of the rare times you have to go through every year, and it doesn't happen very often that retrograde happened in October and ended on Halloween.
mm,
That coincidence is very hard to find. And so the dates of the series are chosen with much intent around that.
hmm.
And so it's during retrograde that it takes place, and that is actually the case also for the other books. So it's very much something that I find is what, even if you forget and you're not keeping track of it, you notice in your life. Something will happen, then something will happen again, and you'll go, okay, is it retrograde? And
Yeah.
then it is. And so the celestial influence is very much part of the story, as well as our other metaphysical aspects like vortexes and sound frequencies and parallel realities. And then, of course, the secret societies and all of those other fictional aspects. But there's a lot of real life aspects that are still considered woo, but they're real, that are
Yeah.
layered on to the fiction.
Factional. That's what I like to call it. And
Right.
again, because, when anything that comes from the spiritual realm is considered, as you said, woo-woo, or, because again, can't touch that. Well, you can hold me. I'm spiritual. You can touch me, right? I'm very spiritual. I'm going to share the spiritual energy. And it's this constant divide. I have another channel called Quantum Spirituality. And the reason I named that is because quantum physics is beginning to understand the frequency and the energy of those that live in more of a spiritual plane and realize they're at a higher hertz, that are higher vibration. And the higher vibration you are, the less likely you are to do harm to others. To do so is to harm yourself. And so the beginning to actually end that spirituality isn't all about kumbaya. It is about a level of energy, of truth, and love that you have not only for yourself but for all things. And that's the state that you prefer to be in, because it's kinder, it's caring, and it's more productive.
Yeah, I like that. And I also incorporated that into the book, even though it's called The Witches of Maple Hollow. Really what they are the healers of the
Mm,
Hollow. And they were just called witches, of course, by other people. And so
yes.
they are healers. And so their duty is to raise their vibration, to help others, and to help others fight the dream haunters, which of course are the fictional baddies, but
Hmm.
it's really just the what happens if your vibration remains low, what
Yeah,
happens if you remain closed off from your subconscious, from your higher self, from your inner wisdom, then you're letting that take over. And the way to fight that is to raise your vibration.
exactly. Uh, I call it the piranhas. If you're below a certain hertz, the piranhas are out. That's when you become victimized, because that's their nectar. You become their food. And they're going to suck all the energy out of you. The more you rise up and step up into that higher frequency, they're not going to come up to meet you, because it's almost like, kryptonite, for them, until if they're willing to choose, which it's their choice, stay the piranha or embrace love. And that's the free will we have as human beings. But those that choose to embrace the loved, um, it isn't about borders, but about boundaries. And you have to be at a certain energy level in order to be a part within that boundary.
Yes. Yes. And so in the process of her experience, she realizes her call to help other people and what she needs to do to step into that.
Mm. And you talk about witches, and I think is it social media or TV that's made, all witches villains, and
Yes.
witches and wizards were considered the wise ones, right? They were the healers, they
Yes.
were the shamans of wisdom. And but we've come along and we've made them villains, and now of course they're perceived as villains before anything else. I
Right.
mean, let's face it, people used to get burnt at the stake for growing, you know, um, natural things. So, it's, oh, a witch,
Exactly.
let's dunk them. If they survive, then they were human. If they die, they were a witch. Hello? You know, anything
Right.
to get rid of them. But that is fear driven, isn't it? It's complete, and it's also fear is also a form of control.
Yes. And so it's taking that back. It's taking back that name because you won't see any pointy hats in the book.
Yeah,
You'll see
right.
cloaks, but it really is reimagining and bringing back the pagan Celtic roots of
Mm.
Halloween. It's talking about Samhain, it's talking about the traditions, and it's talking about the family legacy of those traditions. And it's going to, turn it on its head a little bit. People are going to be drawn into it because it's Halloween and they see the name of the series, but then they're going to learn what the actual factualness, right, of that is through this fictional story.
Yeah. I mean, I think fiction always shows us fact in a much clearer light, uh,
Exactly.
because we're not always ready to, you can't handle the truth. No, but if we read it in a fictional way, somehow we have a relatability, uh, a permission to feel something and acknowledge something is happening, or that's what happens to you, or be more aware. Um, we are actually in an era of time where we are desperate to open up our psyche and evolve into a higher plane. And I think any way that we can get people to shift into that higher frequency, the better, whether it is, hands-on where people are ready to receive, the actual awakening for whatever and somebody's doing, or whether it is through books, which is factional, taking them on a journey that they can relate to. But it's all very, very important that we help people awaken, to listen to their dreams, to listen to their gut, to rise up to a higher plane. Um, we need this as a human society.
Yes, I completely agree. And I think that's part of the reason that the story ended up evolving as it did, and the reason that I felt compelled to put it out in the world.
Hmm.
And to my surprise, of course, it has been received by some in that actual good light. Some don't get it, and that's difficult for a debut author, but it's something that is part of the process that
Yeah.
not everybody's going to get it. Not everybody's going to like it.
Not everybody's ready for it. But then,
Yeah.
I have a saying, you take the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Leave it there long enough and it's going to realize it's thirsty. So the
Yeah.
more they're exposed to it, the more other people are talking about it, the more we're talking about it, the more and more it opens up other people go, maybe there's something in that. And
Hmm.
that's, and when they're ready, because if people aren't ready, they won't receive, they won't hear it, they won't understand the message. They've got to be willing to
Right.
step into that wonderment of, what is there. But for those that are looking for clarification, because this is what you seem to be offering through this journey, is clarity along the way of an understanding of what the dreams are saying. And perhaps in many ways for people to actually then pay attention to their own dreams, to how they feel. You may not remember it when you wake up, but how are you feeling when you wake up? Are you
Yes.
tapped into that kind of, I know there's something there, show me the way?
Yes, absolutely. And
Mm,
asking to be shown,
yes,
being
yes.
ready and willing to be shown is a huge part of it.
But paying then attention to the signs. I'm constantly asking the universe, okay, which way am I meant to go? Then take your head out of the equation altogether, right? Let your heart and soul open up, and all of a sudden, various things will be flooded at you. Now it's up to you to be discerning of which one is right for you, right? And again, feel it. What does the gut say? This information, don't go always go with the head. The head is going to go, yes, but what if this, but what if that, and this one, this, and that one, that. Heart, what do you feel? Because what you feel and what you're drawn to is what the universe is showing you. So trust that feeling and be careful what you ask the universe for, right? Because it will always deliver. It will deliver what you need.
It'll also deliver what you're, I don't want to say ruminating on,
Mm,
but uh, where the focus goes, the energy flows. So
yes.
if you're constantly thinking, that's not going to work out, nothing ever works out for me, then that's what the universe is going to give you
Yeah.
because that's what you're asking for by stating that's the reality.
That's your frequency that you're on. So change
Yes.
channels, right? Change channels.
Yes.
What if somebody has, a night where they shake up and they wake up and they're shivering and, I've had those, experiences and you don't quite remember what it is that happened, but you're shaken up from it. What are those type of dreams trying to tell us?
Well, I would try again to record as much as possible. And that's most important when you first wake up to not jump out of bed, to try and give yourself that moment and think backwards about what you were just experiencing. Try to use the dream recall techniques to capture even small pieces
Mhm.
of what that dream is, because yes, the emotion is one of the key pieces, but you also need the other parts. You need to know what you were doing, who was there, what the action was, what was being experienced, and really use that as the dictionary
Mm,
instead of the dream dictionary. Use that as the lexicon for figuring out what the message is of the dream.
mm. And again, I think, as you said, get down as much as possible. But then again, universe, what are you trying to tell me? Right? You've got a snippets of the puzzle, but what's the picture? And again, I think the universe will always reveal to us when the time is right, right? And it's like sometimes that was just a prelude, and what is to come will come. But trust the universe, and And as you said, be careful what you ask for, because it's if it's in a in a negative tone, that's what you're going to get back. And if it's like, okay, this dream was uncomfortable, I remember this, that, exact from it. Are you sending me a warning? If so, please show me the vision. Am I meant to redirect? If there is, show me a different road, but ask the universe to join you along the way.
Yes, absolutely. And you can do that before you go to bed too.
Mm,
And that's part of what dream manifestation is really, where you ask for guidance, ask
yeah.
for a solution or whatever it is that you're seeking before you go to sleep. And your subconscious will work on that and it
Yeah.
will show you things in your dreams that might not be obvious as answers initially, but through that analysis, you can extract that meaning.
Daydreaming. A lot of people, oh, it's such a waste of energy, a waste of time. Um, I do it a lot. There's always a little movie going on in my head. Um, is that being on another plane, or is that avoidance, or is that something traveling with me?
I think that even though we call it daydreaming, if you think about the process of manifestation, what are we taught in the process of manifestation? To visualize.
Hmm.
So when we talk about, I really, since you have the other chat about quantum physics, I think that plays a big part in this conversation because if you integrate the concepts of quantum physics into that question, you could be everything is happening all at once, right?
Yeah.
And there is no then and there isn't no before or after. And so when you're visualizing, daydreaming is one thing, like, oh, I wish I was at the beach, and you're thinking about something, right? Like that's kind of the textbook daydream
Yes.
versus you just have a vision of something and maybe it's foreboding, maybe it's bad, you don't know. Um, that those are all possible realities.
Yeah.
Very much the way a psychic might tell you what might happen in the future. It's all just a possibility. Everything is a possibility. And so it's not that it's right or that it's wrong. They're just all possibilities. So
Right.
I do think that within that possibility is the parallel realities, the alternative dimensions, the multi aspects of spirit, where if other spirits are around us now,
Mm.
we are other places too.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Again, we're not limited to this body. We think that this vessel is all that we are, but it's just the human vessel for us to have the human experience, of the spirit to have the human experience through the body. But the spirit has no boundaries. This is why people can energy heal anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter, because once you've tapped into someone's signature, it doesn't matter where they are, right? You're connected.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Again, we have to step outside of what we've been taught and to understand that there is a world or worlds that are inviting us to take that metaphysical journey, and have an experience that is out of this world, because there's so much that we're going to learn if we're willing to take those journeys. And if we started off by reading these kind of books where we start connecting and start feeling, and it starts opening up little doors in us, and questioning, those little channels start to expand and you start to see things more. And then you don't feel so limited. It's like, as a human being, have we just gone as far as we can go? Because we seem to have kind of gone backwards at the present moment, in our evolution. How about where we're meant to go next? And for me, I believe it is opening up to the multidimensional and bringing all those experiences into the human experience as well.
Yes, I agree completely. And I think that's part of what fantasy can do for
Mm.
us. It gives us the opportunity to entertain those concepts without having to commit to them, right? We
Yeah.
just get to be a fly on the wall, and then we take it away from the book and it becomes part of us, and it becomes part of our subconscious, and becomes part of our knowledge base.
Yes. We start to see things that we didn't acknowledge before. We start to feel things instead of dismissing it, pay attention to it, right? Start questioning more. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to want to know more. It's okay to pull the veil back. And you don't do it in the arena where people are shut down. They're living in their limitation. Do not try and do it there. There is a vast arena of people like Megan that are in that world of pulling the veil back and showing you what's there. And you're safe there. Again, trust your feeling though, because there will always be charlatans out there, right? Trust your feeling when you know your instincts. Never deny your gut. If your gut goes, then that's an indication that maybe this isn't for you. Step back. But when you trust and you're on that plane, then you know you meet nobody by accident. Everyone you meet is there for a purpose. Pay attention to those signs and what do they have to impart to you because it's part of your evolutional journey.
Oh, yes, I agree with that too. The synchronicities
Mhm.
are very important to pay attention to. And a lot of people do notice them and they think, oh, isn't that weird? But they just don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And so again, they dismiss them. But that's part of how the universe communicates with us.
So this is the one book you've done, which
Yes.
obviously has evolved into its own journey. Has it sparked another one to come after this and expanding it further, or
Yes.
going off
So
in a different direction?
it's a three-part series.
Aha.
And the second book is The Dream Mirrors. And that's hopefully going to be coming out next spring. I already have 50,000 words down, so it's just a matter of working it out.
Right.
Um, and then I'm hoping to have the third book by next Halloween, so it'll all be within the course of a year.
Wonderful. That takes dedication and due diligence. But also, you've already tapped into the energy. So it just helps the download, of the next book. You're not trying to find your channels. The channels are opened and they're going, ready for more? Here you
That
go.
that's right. Yep.
And having that timeline, it means you're going to be doing an awful lot of work. But that
Yes,
doesn't mean that you don't have time for customers and clients to help them on their dreams
absolutely
and
not.
on their
Yes.
analysis. So tell people a little more of how you help people tap into their dreams and understand what they are.
Yes. So I offer on my website, meganmary.com, courses and dream sessions, as well as dream empowerment programs. So you can do sessions with me where you bring your dreams and I help you learn my method, the dream mirror method, to understand what they mean and how you can use that knowledge going forward yourself, how that can help you on your self-development journey. And then I also have dream empowerment programs, which are 90-day programs where we work together over the course of the 3 months. And you really get to do that deep dive and do a lot more dreams and start to really see a lot more benefit from that work and that really just all of that inner wisdom that you
Mm,
get to bring to that. And also, I integrate the sound frequencies into that one of the programs where I curate healing frequencies based on your dreams. And I actually create custom meditations that walk you through guided meditation visualizations of your dream scenarios for a positive outcome. And it overlays the appropriate sound frequency on it. So you
mm.
can listen to those and meditate and take it back and really get the full benefit of that transformation.
And that helps people, especially that are finding it hard to open up the door, open up the veil, because that sound, I've always said that, music and the frequency of it is one to rebalance us, put us on an equilibrium. And so it is something that can open things up safely for you. And so sometimes if we're in silence, we're hearing the chatter. If we're tuning into the sound, we're traveling that frequency and that allows us to open up even more.
Yes, absolutely. Some frequencies are so powerful in that respect, and even binaural beats, because anything that can entrain the brain waves, basically, when you see out in the physics world, you see water behaving this way when it's exposed to music, and we are the
Hmm.
majority water. And so when
Yes.
we're exposed to the vibrations of music, our body responds to that on a frequency level. And it doesn't really require any efforting just by listening to it and being around it. That's the beauty of sound bath healing and all
Mm.
of those other things. And so it really helps us. It's one of the ways that we can raise our vibration and change our frequency level.
Whatever works, the sound, the willingness to open up. And, for some people, they still feel like a pushback, and I, can't quite get it or don't know what's blocking me. Well, then things like the book taking you on that journey, right? And, it's read the book one, digest it. I always say with these shows, it's listen, learn, and apply. So what did you listen to? What are you reading? What are you learning from it? And how are you going to apply that wisdom to your own journey? And so by the time you've kind of got that down pat, book two will be out, and then book three. And so basically you're getting three books of being able to map your path of your own self-discovery, of opening up and igniting your heart and soul, and truly listening to your own frequency and vibration. And that is the greatest gift you can ever receive, because now you've truly stepped into you and your essence. When you actually become part of that frequency and you are it, then you're resonating beyond just the human realm. And that purpose of your essence will be revealed on how to use it.
I like how you said that. Yes.
We're all looking for that, aren't we? We're all looking for a meaningful purpose, and sometimes we think it's the human doing, but really it's the human being and tapping into the essence of our beingness. And when we step into that essence of our beingness, we understand what it is we need to do.
Yes. And that's how we step into that alignment
Mm,
with our higher purpose. But it's also a process of capturing that authenticity. And the
mm,
authenticity comes from understanding your uniqueness and the unique language that's coming from inside you. And it's also beyond you, right? But
yeah.
in your part of it, but it's capturing that and coming into that alignment, because that's really where true abundance lies.
Hmm.
Is only if we can come into that alignment.
Hmm. The true enrichment and abundant lies in that beautiful divine truth. So exciting. I know from myself that when I took the metaphysical journey, um, how it brought me back to life, because I was disconnected from my heart and soul for quite a while. And I was living as a humanoid, and I just was not connected. And the reconnection of me came back through these metaphysical type journeys, where I kind of started feeling myself ignite, waking up, reconnecting, how it opened up those beautiful dimensions, because that's ultimately where I am happiest, is in all these other dimensions. And then I come here to do my work, so to speak. Um, but it opened that door, all those doors up to me that had shut down. So I know how important a journey like this can be for someone who doesn't want a manual, now do this, now do that, because that's again doing and not being, needs to take that journey through somebody else's journey for them to discover their beingness.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where the story comes in.
Hmm.
Yep.
And then, of course, it's entertaining and it's fun and
Hmm.
it's enlightening, and you start looking at things in a different way. I remember years ago reading the book Thomasina by Paul Gallico, and it's about a little boy that became a cat, and him learning the mannerisms of the cat. I have never forgotten that. The little boy
Hmm.
having the experiences of a cat. And it's like stepping outside of ourselves and willing to experience things on different planes, on different levels. And if we're willing to do that, that exploration, that our wonderment of what more we are is so exciting.
I love that you brought up cats too, because cats play a very important role in the book. Absolutely. And there's multiple cats, but the the message about cats really walking in the spiritual realm is also part of the story.
Cats are far more spiritual creatures. Dogs are more human bound, but they're incredibly intuitive, where they know how to speak to the heart and the soul of a human and comfort and be there and support, but they really are more earth serving rather than spirit serving, which cats are always, more from that other dimension.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's why they're so aloof.
Oh, people always say that, but my cat Merlin pretty much lives on me.
I wish,
He,
my other cat was, when she wanted to, right? But it's and my daughter has a cat that will look at you sideways, just not a snuggly cat. And so I'm about to get myself a dog for my birthday because I want those
mm,
snuggles, right? Because it's
oh,
it's for me, I need that human interaction because I don't get enough of that. So I get a lot of the spiritual interaction, not enough of the human. So I need
yeah.
that connection.
Yeah, yeah, my cat Merlin, who is also in the book. Both of my cats that I have right now are in the book and characters, but sits on my lap all day and then sits on my lap all evening and then sleeps with me all night. So
Yes.
he's with me all the time. Yeah.
That's what I want in a doggy, a small doggy that does that. Absolutely. I fell in love with a dog when I went to Qualicum Beach the other day, and I want one like that. It was just
Mm,
gorgeous. But I've said to the universe has always bought me a dog that I need.
yeah.
I've never chosen them, they've chosen me. And so I know the universe has got a dog for me, and that's in a month for my birthday. So we'll see
All
how
right.
it's going to come about and what it's going to be. I'm
Exciting.
excited to discover what little species the universe has in store for me. And that's another thing, isn't it? Let us stop dictating how we want things to be. Oh, it's got to be this, and it's got to be that, and it's got to be that. Instead of, I want something that's going to make me feel this because the universe knows how to match that frequency of that feeling, right?
Right.
But not the dictation of I want it this color and I want it that. And yeah,
That's why what they say to truly manifest something, say you want to manifest $1 million, instead of thinking, okay, well, I want to win the lottery and it's going to
mm,
go in this bank and I'm going to buy this with it. You're supposed to think of how you're going to feel
yeah,
when you have that money, free or
yes,
happy or
yes,
peaceful or whatever.
yes,
And that feeling, the universe is then going to match by giving you something that will give you that feeling. And if it
yeah,
takes $1 million to have that feeling, then it's going to bring you
yes,
that, right?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah. And it's like, it's trust the universe, whether you look at it sometimes and go, I don't want this. And then you find out, oh, okay. Now I get it. This is everything I wanted. It just, I didn't recognize it.
exactly.
Right. Yeah. So where do people find the book? We've got your site, but we've also got the womensdreamanalysis.com. And you're on Pinterest and YouTube and LinkedIn, all under that title, Women's Dream Analysis. Petron, your name, Megan Mary. Linktree, Women's Dream Analysis. You're on Spotify with your own podcast. And do you interview other people or is this just you?
I do. It's an interview platform. It's people come on and tell their dreams, and I interpret them live in the show. And then I also have women come on and tell their stories of spiritual awakening.
Nice, very nice. And again, the more we do that, the more we're putting it out there in the world. That it just beyond the actual listening to the show, the frequency has already gone out and it's already tapping somebody on the shoulder.
Right.
Now, people can pre-order the books. The book only comes out October 3rd,
Mhm.
and it's going to be the dreamhunters.com. It's going to be on goodreads.com, Dream Hunters, Amazon, author Megan Mary, books two, to read.com, Megan Mary, and then Amazon. And so people can pre-order their copy right now, and then it launches October 3rd, right?
Yes. And I'm also on TikTok and Instagram and Threads at
Mm.
Megan Mary Author. And you can get everything you need at meganmary.com. Women's Dream Analysis now forwards to Megan Mary Author. So everything's at
Everything's all
meganmary.com.
in one
Yep.
stop shopping, right?
Yep.
Don't be afraid of your dreams. Even if you kind of wake up and you're feeling a little, discombobulated. There's a reason that's trying to tell you something. Get out of your fear. Pay attention to what the message could be, right? And very often it just could be manifest, or, reflecting back the fear you're carrying around with you all the time, right? So
Yes.
very often that can be it. But I think if we are willing to talk to someone like you and go, okay, show me how. How do I pull the veil back? How do I pay attention to the dreams? How do I go on these beautiful dimensional journeys and live this other existing? Because, folks, it's so wonderful. Please try it. Don't be afraid of it. Um, I always white light myself. I white light things that I want to have safety because, yes, I have been haunted. I've been possessed, but I had no protection at that time. And I laid myself vulnerable. So no, I white light myself when I'm doing anything, but just like take me where I need to go.
Yes. Yes. It really is asking for that, being open to it and
Hmm.
letting it guide you, letting it come in. Hmm.
But traveling along with somebody like yourself that's going to show them the practical steps, how to pay attention, how to trust, what to trust, and just helping them along their journey to where they get to that point where they now are immersed in their essence and trusting that. But we all need help along the way. And sometimes, well, I don't know how to do it. Well, no, Megan does. And that's what she's here for. She's here to help you. But the book is a journey to help you discover who you are through somebody else's journey. And that's where we learn best because it's that relatability. I feel like that. Or what if I did that? Oh, what did that provoke inside of me? Right? That's what it's all about. Let it awaken you because that's the fun part. So delight having you back here again. For book 2 and 3, you've got to have to come back again and share the
Oh,
next
yes.
chapters of the book. Um, Metaphysical journeys, they're wonderful, folks. They truly are wonderful. I promise you. There's so much you're going to learn about yourself in them. Be willing to take the journey. Biggest thing you've got to do is open your mind. Open your mind. Be willing to step in the wonderment of life and the exploration. Fear, common sense fear, it will travel with you. It will keep you safe. Don't step into fear of the unknown just because it's unknown. Step into the wonderment of what could be, what is out there, and be willing to learn. But give yourself permission to do that because that's your first step. So thank you so much, Megan, for being here again.
Thank you, Sarah. It was a wonderful conversation, and I'm really looking forward to you reading the rest of the books.
Yes, most certainly. And book 2 and 3, because yes, it'd be one of those things that people will devour. Also, read again. How many times do you read a book again or listen to a podcast again and there's something else that you learn from it that you didn't get the first time because you weren't meant to? Now there's another message in there for you. So don't be afraid to read again or listen again. So until next time, folks, enjoy your journey. Bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tab at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.